Hello, good morning. This is ARPS Media, and this is your program Afterwards with Kaddy Jobe. In the studio with me, gentlemen from various institutions, Mr. Alfaba, Mr. Baidodou Jallow, and Mr. Omar. I'll let them introduce themselves briefly. Mr. Alfa, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much, madam. My name is Alpha Ba. I am currently working at Mega Bank, former student of the UTG.
Mr. Omar Jallow, you're welcome to introduce yourself.
No, it's bar. Don't promote the Jallows this morning. I am bar.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Mr. Ba. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. I'm Omar Ba, a journalist. 10 years of experience working with the Standard newspaper. Good to be here.
Thank you too, Mr. Ba. It seems like I took the Jallow name and gave it to you.
I don't
Mr.
like it
Baidu,
anyway.
can you please briefly introduce yourself?
Hello, good morning. My name is Baidodou Jallow. I am currently working with the FSQA, which is the Food Safety and Quality Authority, as the Director of Scientific Affairs.
So, Demba, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you.
Okay,
Thank you for
thank you.
joining us. And briefly can you briefly tell the audience who is Mr. Michael Demba?
Kaddy, thank you so much. My name is Mike Demba, born and raised a Gambian. Left the Gambia, I'm going to date myself here, in 2024. In January, I'll be here in the States for 20 years. I've been back and forth visiting family. Um, Professionally over here in the States, I'm in the tech business. I've been in IT for about 12 years now, and currently on this side, I host something that is dear to me called STEM to Roots, which is a conversation that I'm having that is, very, very much aligned with the conversation we're having today. And I can't wait to meet the rest of the panelists.
Thank you very much, and you're welcome. Like I was saying, I will briefly introduce ARPS Media to the people that are just joining us. ARPS is an awareness center headquarters in the Gambia and was founded on May 22nd, 2022 to
Mhm.
communicate past, current, and future affairs, ideas, and events in the society.
Mm.
And ARPS Media broadcast value, fact, and truth and honesty, like we're doing today. News from these past weeks will be dissected and talked about by me and the guests in the studio. Thank you very much once again, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
First and foremost, this question will go to Mr. Michael, of course, and Mr. Omar Ba. But they said today he's Jallow. I don't know whether he's asking. President Adam Barrow, when met with the African Union Peace and Security Commission, urged African governments to step up their efforts and address conflicts. We have seen for these past months there have been a lot of coups d'etats in Africa. My question will be, what can be done to avoid these conflicts in Africa, and also how can coups d'etats be stopped in Africa? Mr. Michael, you can go ahead.
Thank you for the question. This is obviously another new discussion when it comes to our continent, right? This is not new. Our coup d'etat is more to do coup d'etats help the masses more or put us all in a situation that is worse, right? And that, country by country, the answer might be different, coming from people, but is that the way? Is that what everybody's agreeing on? Hey, whenever things are not working like like we all think, whether the military should always jump in and quote unquote save the people. So for me, seeing this coming from our president, especially after the Gambia has experienced such, not once, whether they were failed ones. We all remember the 1994 one and what that the 20 years that brought. So as far as peace goes for the continent, I think this is where, because he was addressing the entire continent, I think this is where we don't focus on one country, whether it was successful there or not. Generally, what is the best way to go? Is it a democratic election, or the military stepping in every now and then? So I think Barrow, especially coming from the Gambia, addressing the entire continent about coups, I am really aligned with what he said, as far as just speech and bravado, because, politically, that's the right thing to say. Whether Africa will heed to that, I pray so, I hope so, because I think he's right about everything that he said there as far as speeches go. But to the core of it, I hope we discuss more whether, just talk versus what the continent needs to do so that those things won't keep happening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Demba.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Omar, can you please shed light on this issue, please? Mr. Omar is having a bit of a technical issue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Jallow, I will give you the floor if you can please shed light on that. Conflicts in Africa and coup d'etats that have been happening these past few months.
Thank you very much, Kaddy. I think this is a very important topic. We are in 2023, and Africa, after all the experiences over the last decades, should have really gotten over coup d'etat. We should be talking about really developmental issues and not coup d'etat after the experiences we have gone through in from these coup d'etats in various countries. We have had the atrocities, the crimes, and all of that associated with this phenomenon. So it's really surprising that we still have our military, still taking over government. That we know really, whatever the problem in any country, the solution is not for the military to come in. So definitely, this statement from President Barrow is a very good statement, and this is really in line. I hope Africa will really, especially the military in Africa, would look at other ways of solving, even if it is a dictatorship, whatever problem, social or political problem is in the country. The solution, again, for me, is not military coup. And I think we should have other options, and there are so many of them, to solve this problem rather than go for a military coup. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, my internet drops.
It seems like the Jallows are holding on your internet.
Yeah,
but
but
again,
I'm back.
Mr. Omar, there's an incident that happened at Jalamba where it was alleged that the husband took a dagger and inflicted several wounds to the wife. Domestic violence have been going on for years in this country, and females are afraid.
I wanted to complete my point on the issue of coups in Africa.
Okay, no problem. You can go ahead.
Coup d'etats in Africa. I think it's important that I also share my thoughts. Like I was saying, out of the 486 coups around the world, 486 coup d'etats around the world, Africa accounts for at least 214 coup d'etats. This is a huge number, and at least 106 have been successful in Africa for the past years since we start getting independent from the colonizers. But I think, yes, the president's statement is welcome. We are looking forward to things like that for Africa, and more especially for our country, the Gambia. But I think ECOWAS in itself, the African Union in itself, these are organizations that are governed by heads of states. They make the decisions, they decide what should happen in Africa and in West Africa. And I think that's where the problem lies, because the number one issue that usually we face in Africa is the issue of either one, like I was saying, prolonged stay in power on constitutional, constitutional stay of presidents who will at some point decide to change the law to suit themselves for them to stay longer. Of course, this should not trigger the military to take over, but these are things that sometimes when they happen, the population and majority of us are unhappy. And when the military realize that majority of people, or let's say 75% of citizens are unhappy with what is going on, they take advantage of it. And when they take advantage, they know they get out of it because the people will support them. Like it happened recently in Kedvat, you know, is it in Kedvat, the last coup? So, or in Niger, when it happened, the people came out and, they were with the military, despite all the noise coming from ECOWAS and, the international organizations. It didn't work because they later realized that, the citizens are happy with what the military did. Of course, we are not welcoming that. It's not a good thing. But I think our presidents, our governments, ECOWAS, the African Union, should work and insist on good governance. If we have good governance, we have presidents who are coming to serve and not to be served, then we will be able to address these things easily, and we will always get what we want, like it happens in other countries, in Ghana and other places. Of course, they experience coup, but since those days, they have now changed into a democratic system where every 2 terms, you have to go and you have to go and you will go without any noise, like it happened in Senegal recently. Maki probably at some point would have tried to stay on, but because somebody came out, and I think this is where we should learn. It should be the citizens who should come out and demand that the right thing be done, not the military. It should be the citizens, like it happened in Senegal. Usman Sonko took the lead and make sure that Sal is forced to leave, and it happens. So this is what we should learn. Gambia and all other African countries should learn. It should be the citizens, not violently, but we should come out and demand what is right and demand our presidents to do what is right. I think that's where it should start from.
Thank you very much. Again, I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
The Jalamba incident, where a husband allegedly took a
Yes.
dagger and inflicted several wounds to his wife. Domestic violence, as we know, have been going on
Mm,
for years in this country,
mm,
and women are
mm,
very afraid to speak up.
mm,
The Sutura syndrome. How can this
mhm,
narrative be changed in our society, and how can
mhm,
we raise young girls into
mhm.
believing in themselves that they should speak out at any little inconvenience that happens to them?
Just last year, not this year, we have registered over 100 cases of either domestic violence, rape, and other, violence against women. And not a single, except for one case, was successfully prosecuted. Over 100 cases. So if you have um, a system like that, where the judiciary is not responded, where government leaves the decision of rape, for instance, to families to decide, like what happened in Jalamba. If you ask it is, if you want to allow the families to discuss over it and agree to settle it out of court, let us ask ourselves the question of what are you encouraging? I think it starts with the system. We should have laws that will deal with people, and stiffly, strongly, to make sure that it does not repeat in other places. But if you rape a girl today, and tomorrow is in court, is negotiated out of court by the families, and I read that story or I heard about it, I'll be comfortable to do it because I know probably if I do it, I can also negotiate it out of court. So I think the laws should be responsive to address these issues. Number one. Number two, we need more advocacy. We need to advocate because people should also understand that if you have a wife, he's not there as your mate, but as part of the family, somebody who helps you together to build a family. So you should respect your wife. You should know how to treat your wife, and this is where we can have a national conversation of what is happening. Just imagine a country that registered over 100 domestic violence, majority of which are rape. By now we should call for a national conversation on this to discuss the root causes. What are the problems? How do we address this? Because it's important. We cannot continue to allow our women, girls, to continue undergoing such cruel treatment from us.
Yeah,
It cannot continue. And I think,
I
yeah,
agree with you.
yeah,
National conversation
yeah,
should on about it.
yeah.
Mr. Michael, I'll ask you the same question. How can the narrative be changed to remove this sutura syndrome in our society?
Thank you very, very much for this question. This is important. Even as I read this story, what a sad story to hear. And I think you've said it yourself, Kaddy. At the core of it, all of us being Gambian, and this is actually an African story. But if we're talking about Gambia, every woman, we're talking about a married woman here. Every woman going to get married, we know three core things that every elder, that every person that gives them word, that gives them advice, they stick to a woman uh, um, um, being a good married woman means that sutura syndrome, that keeping everything in the bedroom. Being a good married woman means that your husband Moisa Khalifa is the one running the home. So whatever they say, you have to be submissive and you have to listen. They preach to this woman that like everything that is happening in their household, they cannot talk to somebody else because they don't want word out there about the man. And so women don't have a safety net, right? They don't have a trusted few because the stigma that as soon as a woman opens up about what's going on in their household, oh, you're not a good married woman. Nekolo di muny. You're not, you're somebody that is not able to bear all these things that are happening to you. And so women will go through everything, hell and back, just like this woman, because there's no way this woman was just married and got stabbed out of nowhere. So this has to be something that has been ongoing in their home, and they don't have that safety net in order to have this discourse. So before even the courts, before even getting to litigation, we're talking about just family systems, culture, just something that has been ingrained in our culture for a long time. So what needs to be done before we even hit the courts is how are we as families back home? Where does it start? Women should always have a safety net. They should have a trusted few. If it means, talking to somebody you trust, if it means talking to people that, can actually step in, like we always saying, and you all kill and talk to your husband, or that people should know we have to move away from, just that traditional kind of like marriage where a woman will take everything that comes from their man, and people won't know anything until something like tragic like this happens. So I'm talking about our problem being being like even deeper than just the court system.
Mr. Baidodou Jallow, this question will go to you. Illegal migration in the Gambia. Tonish police has allegedly killed a Gambian and taken four. Through illegal migration, our youths are dying in foreign lands. They're eager to find greener pastures, leaving home to go die in foreign countries. What do you think should be done to stop such migration?
Yeah, thank you very much, Kaddy. This is also a developing. Okay, it's even more than developing story now. I think, if I am right, especially Omar will agree with me. This is more than developing. I mean, it's a story that we have lived for some years now. Majority of our youths are doing everything possible, doing everything possible to use this back way to enter Europe. I mean, this says a lot to our youth development programs in the country. For me, I think we have to go back. The government, the country needs to go back to the national youth policy. They have to look at the strategies that are in place, the programs, the projects that are in place to help youths. What is happening with these projects? What is the impact? Because to be frank, the youths are losing hope in the system and, strongly believing that they cannot make it in the Gambia. And there are so many interventions that can keep these youths. If you look at the area of sports, there are so many other areas, but if you look at the area of sports, where I am also very active, you will see that the investment in sport from our government is low. And a lot of youths who could have been engaged in these sports, right now, sports around the world is a huge business industry. It's a huge industry. All the different sporting activities, youths can be engaged in them, and they can have a very beneficial life economically, socially, and psychologically. So, and the investment in our youths, in our sporting infrastructure in the country is very, very low. I mean, you look in even football, our national team is doing very, very well, but we don't have infrastructure for the youths. And some of the systems probably is still very, very weak for the youths to grow and then get into professional football and really be able to support themselves and their families. Because the fundamental thing about this back way is being able to support yourself and support your family and see a guarantee of a future. So I think government should really invest in the youths, in youth programs and projects in the country. And I think sports is one of them that government can use. Of course, music, arts, and all these other areas are also areas that the government can really, invest in, provide necessary infrastructure so that a lot of youths from school system are straight away get into these programs. And you will see that a lot of the youths will know that with these programs, they can make it to Europe without going through the back way. So, and I'm just talking about, but even in agriculture, even in other areas. So I think a lot of things can be done. I think the other issue is the issue of sensitization and communication. I think families, especially parents and youths, need to be sensitized about the conditions in Europe. I've not lived in Europe, but I've traveled there. I've also traveled to the US, and I know the beliefs that some of these people have are not beliefs that are founded. It's not like it's a ready-made thing in Europe or a ready-made thing in the US. So people need to be sensitized that it's all about hard work. It's all about dedication. It's all about discipline. If you have this, even in your own country, you will make it in life. If you go to Europe, you will still have to work very hard. You will have to be disciplined. You will have to respect everything. So we also need to communicate to our youths at the primary school level and to the parents, because the parents are also conflicted in this issue. Some parents would contribute for their children to go. And now we are seeing even girls and ladies, women also in this practice. So it's alarming. And I think, like Omar said, there is even a need for a national dialogue on this issue. And also the security also work on the agents. They have to work very seriously on grappling on the agents who are really trafficking these people,
Thank you very much.
poly traffic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Alfaba, I'll also ask for your suggestion. What can be done to stop illegal migration in the Gambia? Can you please unmute your mic?
Alpha is hungry.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you perfect.
Hello? Okay. Thank you very much, madam. Like I was saying, I could agree with what Baidodou was saying. First of all, is the government's responsibility. Governments in Africa are failing people in the sense that, um, their responsibility towards the youth is lacking. The youths don't have confidence in the government. That's why they are embarking on this treacherous journey. It is the responsibility of government, to ensure that there is the enabling environment for the youth to stay. Say, for instance, agriculture.
it is believed that Africa can feed the whole entire world.
Mm.
So therefore, I mean, they can, invest in agriculture very well, so that the youth can stay and then work here. Because I mean, I live in Europe. I know what is there. It's just not easy. I remember one time when I was in London, I used to say, this is where the boys say Babylon. I am in Babylon. I'm in Babylon. On the whole, Babylon is just, I mean, something else.
Mm.
What baffles some of the boys here is that when their friends just go and then take pictures in the supermarkets, they will say, "Wow, this person is there. He's making it," not knowing that I mean, once you are in Europe, you have to work.
Yeah.
You have to work very, very hard, and then you have to be disciplined. Discipline is very important. Here, the boys here don't want to work because sometimes you see small boys attacking people. Honestly, there was a day small boys wanted to attack my wife. She was coming from studies with
Mm.
some of their colleagues coming from studies at the college. Man, these people are drunk out. They are at the age of between less than 20 to 15 years. It's sad to see our young boys missing their way. Is the responsibility of everybody. This is a collective responsibility, starting from the parent, from where they are grown up, to the society, on the streets. It's a collective responsibility, I believe. If we all put hands on deck, this problem will be solved. And the families also contribute a lot, because I live in Farato, where I can say about 96 young men traveled to Europe just recently.
Mm.
96 is unprecedented. The figures are just too much. In Jambu, the death rate is just high. It's very uncalled for. This is definitely unacceptable. All the agencies that are responsible for this trafficking, should be really, tracked down and then, I mean, bring to law.
Thank you very much.
It's just,
If,
basic,
if I may, Kaddy,
that-
just quickly, because this is a topic that's dear to me. Um, did, if you look at it, the very first topic we discussed, Barrow's speech to the entire continent, in it, they highlighted how, the youthfulness of Africa was mentioned, 60%. 60%, being young people, right? So if you look at a young continent, this is after the entire world has known that Africa, right now as we speak, or the next 50 years, we are not only the supplier of every natural resource, how we are blessed by God as a continent in wealth and riches, just, ones that are God given, to youthfulness. From Asia to Europe to America, South America, they are worried. They're crying about how the population is aging, and Africa is blessed with youthfulness. What are governments doing for how young Africa is? And that's what the core of the issue is. So if young people are rushing to Europe, just like the rest of the panelists are saying, to go make it out there, what are governments doing? So that's why when I hear speeches like that, I just take it for political. But these are things that need to be said. I want to hear from government saying, here's what I did, here are the numbers, here are the stats, this is what we've done, this is what we've done. Not, oh, this is what we need to do. So the conversation needs to change.
Thank you very much, Mr. Demba, and our condolences to all the victims' family that lost their life trying to find greener pastures. Mr. Alfaba, sports and its development in the Gambia. The defending champions of the Gambia Football Federation First Division, Real de Banjul, kick off their defense by beating Fortune FC. Sports in the Gambia. I'll come to you, Mr. Baiba Jallow. I know you'll have a lot to say. Mr. Alpha, what is your take in the development of sports in our country?
Sports, it's really not taking the right shape, because currently, if you just look at the um, World Cup, qualifiers and the African Cup of Nations preparation, it's just docile. Our government is not investing in sports. That's the biggest challenge that we have. If they really, encourage, sports, it would be at a different level in this country, because you can harness a lot of, you can get a lot of things, through sports. Most of these youths, I know they, who are embarking on this back way, can play football. Some of them will say, if I go to Europe, I will play. If you give them the chance and then encourage, the local leagues to a better level, that will keep them stay. Yeah. That is one of the reasons why, those things are a problem in this country. Sports is a problem. It needs to be really encouraged, and because not long ago, FIFA invested a lot of money, in trying to build, football pitch across the country. Guess what? Like the football field in this place, Gunjur. It's over 4 years now. Nothing is happening. Where are the funds? GFF should come and talk to people and tell us, this is where we spend the funds into. A lot of fields, have been sponsored, but you never see, where the money goes to. That's a problem. It's a real cause of concern. FIFA, GFF should come and then, tell people, how they spend those funds. Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alpha. Mr. Baidodou, I'll ask you the same questions. Sport and its development in the Gambia. How do you say it?
Okay, I think after working for more than 10 years in a national federation, which is the Gambia Volleyball Federation, and looking at even the progress that we have made as a national federation currently in Africa, where in beach volleyball, Gambia recently we were the champion at the senior level. We are talking about the senior level in Africa, with almost zero infrastructure in our country. And this year, in the under-21 Africa Nations Championship, in May, Gambia also became the champions. And in female, we won the bronze medal. And our female volleyball was almost zero, but after a lot of work, the Gambia female team won the bronze medal and qualified to the World Championship in beach volleyball. So for me, really what I have seen is we have a very skillful and talented youth sector in this country. That is guaranteed. That is for sure. Whether it's in football, whether it's in volleyball or in basketball, we really have talented. And these kids don't need a lot. You just need to give them, because we are giving them, even in volleyball, what we are giving them is just minimum. And they're excelling. So I am even wondering if these guys get the right environment, the right facilities, the right infrastructure. I mean, we will be an amazing sporting country, really, because the talents really are just amazing. And if you look at football right now, look at where the Scorpions, the national team, back-to-back African Nations Championship. This is really very, very positive. Yeah. I think with these kind of developments alone, governments should look at sports as a priority area, because really we are investing a lot in other sectors, but sports, if we put a lot of investment, it can really change a lot. So really, it's like Alpha said, government has to do a lot of work. And of course, I will commend the current Minister of Sports. I think since he has come in office, he has tried, but it has not been easy. It has not been easy because of what he has found in place. But he has made a lot of efforts, but a lot more need to be done. A lot more need to be done with our government. They need to build infrastructure. Look at volleyball. We don't even have an indoor court. Is it for volleyball, for basketball, for handball? There is no indoor facility throughout the country. You go to even Senegal, every region, there is an indoor court. Yeah. And in 2022, we hosted the Zone 2 competition in volleyball, and we defeated Senegal 3-0, their main team, so without an indoor facility in our country. And this year also we defeated them in Egypt. In the Africa Senior Championship in Egypt, we defeated Senegal 3-2 in an indoor facility. We don't even have one. So this just tells us the talents we have, the skills. And really, if we put our house in order, Gambia can be a great sporting country. But I think, again, maybe not only government, but we have a private sector, we have a culture that is a little bit negative to sports. People still see sports as li caaxaan la rek, li fola. But I think it's more than that. That culture, that notion, whether you trust it or not, is there. You even go to ask for support for volleyball. I mean, they even laugh at you. What is volleyball? Is it handball? Is it basket? They even don't know. So, of course, we also in the sector have a lot of work to do in sensitization, again, because people have to be aware. People have
Thank
to
you very
be
much,
sensitive.
Mr.
Thank you.
Jallow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Omar, I hope the Jallows hasn't cut off your connection again. Mr. Omar, can you hear me?
No, I'm still connected, man.
Connected.
I'm still connected.
Ambassador at Large for Global Criminal Justice Office has commended the Gambia for recently passed a Victim Reparation Act and ban from public office bill. What is on that bill, and how will that bill affect the victims and the perpetrators?
Yeah, I think that is one of the most important bills right now because it has much to do with reparations, and as part of the justice process, the reparation is also very important because you have families who lost their breadwinners on the journey. You have families where you just have single mothers struggling to take care of a whole family. So the reparations bill is very important. I think the government deserve to be commended in that regard, but also there is a need for them to expedite the process of the whole justice delivery process because it's just not about reparation. It's about also taking people to court. It's about prosecuting, perpetrators. It's about bringing the likes of Jan to justice and all those who bear the highest authorities to court. So that at least we start that healing process. But like I said, the reparations bill is a good start. Now we are waiting to see what government is going to do in terms of the reparations. Because the first reparations that were paid out of that 50 million that was given by the Senegalese government from the timber profits of the timber trade. The way it was distributed, some of the victims were not happy with the amount of money were given. So expedited to ensure that those things are addressed quickly. So let's look forward to what is going to happen after the passing the bill because that alone is not enough. It's just a start. It's just a start. It's just a start. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ba. Mr. Michael, how can that bill affect the
Yeah.
victims and the perpetrators?
For
Yeah.
me, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Just reading that article is impressive because for Gambia to spearhead, a tiny country like Gambia to spearhead, where a government says, because what reparations are at the end of the day is raising your head and saying, I am responsible, taking responsibility. So if everything that has been done to people, this citizenry that have been victims of a government, if it was done, even though it's Jammeh's regime and this is years later, Barrow is in charge, it's not about individuals. It's not about who caused it. It's about government taking responsibility. This was under a regime that was a government, and government taking the responsibility to say, here is what we are going to do as a government, to everybody that was a victim, so that not only ask for forgiveness, because that can be different as far as how people approach it, but to actually take whole responsibility and say this is us. So if Gambia successfully does that, I'll be a proud Gambian, because the world will take that as an example. When it comes to the ban from public office bill, when I looked at that, again, that is again taking responsibility and following through, right? If you say, all right, during this regime, here was what was done by individuals, so and so and so and so, and if all of that goes through the court systems and it comes to light, I am all for second chances, but if as a people, if as a people, somebody has a whole like a sheet that says what they've been a part of, whether a gun was forced to their head or whether it's choices that they made, they shouldn't be allowed to take important positions like that, because we don't lack the talent pool, to have somebody else, without that rap sheet, take ownership of government roles. So whoever was a part of any atrocity that has affected the citizenry cannot be in a trusted position in the government. So that was impressive, and I hope there is a follow through.
Thank you very much.
I want to say something. I want to say something about the ban from public office bill. I don't know. I have maybe 2 minutes to do that.
You can do it briefly.
Yeah, I think we should be careful about that bill. I think the government has a motive behind passing that bill. If you read through the bill, it has given the president power to pardon certain people. So I think the citizens, the civil society, media, and everybody should open their eyes and minds, and ensure also that government or the president does what is right, because there are a lot of rumors going on that they're going to pick certain people and pardon them. And I can hint this meeting that among few of those people is Dr. Njoguba, the former Secretary General, who is now full-time NPP. I also understand that they are doing everything humanly possible, for instance, to get Mamadou Sabali in the NPP, and he is also part of these people they are going to pardon. And for me, this is a concern. If they are picking people who are probably with NPP and giving them a pardon, and leaving the rest who probably refuse to join them, that would raise a big alarm, and it will really derail the whole process of the justice system, and that will not help this country in terms of healing. So this is just a hint for maybe some of you. This thing is not just coming from anybody. I got this from very highly placed sources in the NPP and in government. So I just thought I will hint the meeting about this thing.
Thank you very much. Mr. Baidodou Jallow, the Gambia will adopt digital transformation and digital identity strategy later this month. Will such new identity technology be helpful to the Gambia, and how will it be helpful to the Gambia?
We are living in a digital world right now, and of course, this everywhere you look at it, in any way you look at it, is going to help us grow to another level as a country. Everything you do right now, you need digital tools to help you in your work, whether it's in research, whether it's in academia, whether it's in whatever work you are trying to do in your office or everywhere else, you need digital tools. And I think this is again something very positive. I think government should continue this direction, and this statement from the minister is encouraging. This is what Gambia really needs. This is what we need to move, because with these tools, you become more efficient, more effective, and you can deliver more easily. So I really support this idea. I'm not an expert in IT, but I think this is something that majority of the developed world is leveraging on, and we even need it more. So it's a very good thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Baidodou. Mr. Alpha, what's your opinion or what's your take on this matter?
Yeah, it's true. Everything today is virtual. If you go to the West, you see virtual libraries. Even in the banks today, you don't need to move with money. Just use your card, or um, everything is just virtual. It's a very good thing. It should be embraced by the government and everybody in the country. We are in the 21st century, where analog system and manuals are all fading away. So we have to move with the pace of the government, with the pace of the development of the present era. This is a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Kaddy, obviously this is a space that I'm in, and as a country, I'll tell you this: part of what can be done with digitalizing everything that is, identity, is all the data that will be collected due to this, right? And this is data, if government does it right, that can be securely put to use when it comes to statistical models that can be built from just knowing facts that are collected from this data. Whether it's on the healthcare sector, whether it's reach, whether it's even censuses can be done easily instead of walking from door to door. Collecting data like this can simplify everything. So for me, it's just about the data, and the data being used right. So if we are able to move and digitalize everything that is identity in Gambia, oh man, we'll be part of like the other panelists are saying, the new era.
Thank you. KMC, the Kanifing Municipal Council, has announced the availability of 629 spaces after the road clearing plan
Yeah.
for seven, and also to build seven new markets for the affected people. The council wrote and standard newspaper since the demolition exercise started. They have been working in the availability of space in markets like Larikunda, Yiringanya, and other areas. Mr. Omar, what do you think of the demolition exercise and market development initiative at KMC? How is it going to help the people that have been affected?
Yeah, for the demolition, I think the government has a good case. I might have my own reservations, but for me, that is not important. I think what matters is the general interest, and if really the demolition is for the interest of the majority, which I think it is so, I think it is welcome. Of course, those who are affected are complaining, saying one or two things, but generally I think people appreciate the demolitions. But also the questions the question you may be tempted to ask is why now? This has been an issue for years. Barrow has been in power for 7 years now. So you tend to ask the question why now, but the fact that it's happening, like I said, is fine. It's a government policy. They feel like they should clear the roads. But if you go to other countries, you don't see what you see in the Gambia. Seeing people everywhere, even in major roads, selling. It's not even safe for them. So, but they need to also understand that this is for the general good. When it comes to KMC, also again, why now? Why look for the spaces now? I think it is the responsibility also of the council to create these markets for people in their council. So if you have the capability of creating these spaces, why allow people sit there in the first place? You should have done that, from the word go, create these spaces for people. Tell them, look, leave this space. This space is a road. You should not sit there. But again, now that it's coming, it's welcome because those who are affected will now at least have a place where they can go and sell their goods because the majority of them also is hand to mouth. They sell and go to the market and buy food for their family. So it's important that the council responded swiftly and quickly. And I think we should also thank the KMC under the leadership of Mayor Talib. I think when this demolition started, they came out, they made it clear that they are in support of it because they feel like people should not see it outside. So they didn't see it as political, they didn't see it as this is a NPP thing. They see it as a national thing and they support it. And I think that is very important.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ba. Mr. Michael, I'll also ask your opinion on this matter.
Kaddy, thank you. I've been a family member actually pointed these videos to me, and I did see a couple of videos of the demolition. So this is just a couple of weeks ago. Change can be painful, right? Change can, especially drastic. Change can be cruel, and by drastic I mean the steps that are being taken. You're seeing, these level of clearance that looks like, that looks like it's an attack. But so I suspect from what I've seen that this is just not. This was announced ahead of time, but if you look at it, it looks cruel, right? But in the short term, if you look long term, who will be benefiting from this is the entire citizenry. So individuals are facing it now, especially if you have your little stall and you're using that for hand to mouth. You sell, and then at the end of your selling, take whatever you earn to go give your family food. You think about it that way, it's just painful to see. But this is for the greater good, and I hope if there's a follow through, it's not one that will happen, because, Gambia has been known for things like that, like drastic changes or a move made, to make a certain change that people are behind and support, just for it to be short-lived because there's no follow through, right? So if we make all this clearance, and 2, 3 to 5 years from now, things are back to the same, the government and everybody responsible will fail us. So this is, let's just rip the bandage. Let's go through the pain right now, and hopefully everybody will benefit, with safer, cleaner roads where everybody that's selling is within a market space and a controlled space. So, I'm all for it for the greater good, but my heart goes out to the people that are feeling the blow right now.
Thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of the discussion.